Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Duval Dive live. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game.
And I'm Travis Holmes with BigCatCountry.com.
And you're listening to this thing on the Believe Podcast Network. And folks, I'm not even playing the breaking news. Everybody knows it. If you're there at Duval, local Jaguars are in a great mood. Duval devout, stoked. Jacksonville Jaguars come up big. 36-19 in dominant fashion. And listen, I know injuries were a factor for the Indianapolis Colts, but Travis, I know you were already going to say it. I'll say it for you and save you a touch of time. Just because Danny Dimes got hurt, the NFL MVP, Jonathan Taylor, was still on the field, and we know how the Jags did against backup quarterbacks previous to this point, and they were able to land the plane. Radius jumping into the comments before we even started, and now I'm going to believe it. He's singing all day, too, and shouts to PT as well, who was chatting with me while waiting for you to get out of post with Coach Liam Coen and others. Trevor and Coen are vibing. Defense in camp as well. We step up in big games and eliminate the penalties. Who knows? Duval. Well, yeah, the penalties point needs to be made. I'm going to get it out the way because if I'm going to point it out, I got to point it out here too. I wasn't, last I checked, what was it? 8 penalties. Not exactly the day I want to see, but hey, when you win the football game, you win the football game. And Travis, I know it all started with the Devin Lloyd interception. I'm going to put it this way. We came out and we even made the Karate Kid reference in our key to the game, sweep the leg, right? The Jags had to come out and handle their dang business, get the 10th straight win in Duval, do all that. Yes, social alky. We did in fact see the Jacksonville Jaguars sweep the leg. That's a thing that happened, and it started with.
To be clear, we did not want them to actively sweep the leg and breaking the man's leg like that. I mean, that's not the goal, but it is football and things happen. So sorry, but in sweeping the leg metaphorically was the the goal.
What had happened was we didn't know
they handle business. They handle business in a big way. And you got to give that defense credit. Anthony Campanelli, your guys balled out of control, and they did. Now, again, Daniel Jones left the game in the first half, but nevertheless, even in the first half, the Jacksonville Jaguars defense was looking pretty dang dominant overall. And even when they bent, they generally didn't break in the red zone. So, overall, man, they did a great job. The stats might not show it as far as sacks are concerned, but the final score is all that matters. And the Jacksonville Jaguars dominated defensively and absolutely offensively, to the point where they look like a front runner today.
Yeah, and listen, I said it many times, regardless of Daniel Jones' situation, but I pointed out, you pointed out, we pointed out this Indianapolis schedule being, shall we say, at least somewhat weak. And listen, man, it's got to be pointed out, right? At the day's end,
the schedule has to be pointed out for the Colts. They've lost 4 of the last 5. I'm sorry. No, I said it right. No, 4 of the last 5.
They've lost
2. Yeah, they've lost 3 in a row now, and they've lost their quarterback in this game on a non-contact injury where he seems to be grabbing his leg and or Achilles area.
Yeah,
that feels like that's probably not going to be good for the rest of the season. Prospects for the Indianapolis Colts to make the playoffs even. So, that's a sweeping a leg moment, and that's probably not what you want to see if you're a Colts fan.
And
Jaguars fan.
Yeah, well, you for a Jaguars fan, it might work out. And the reason why you're bringing the schedule, Travis, is not only do the Jags face the Colts again, but in the 2 weeks preceding, both the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers next on the schedule for this Indianapolis Colts team. And listen, as injured as the Niners are, that's not an easy run at this time. They're on a pretty big hot streak, much to my surprise as a Niner fan. And the Seahawks, man, listen, we've talked about them being one of the best flipping D-lines in the league, if not at the very least the best defensive tackle pairing up front with that pair for sure. I mean, listen, if you're a Colts fan, you're a little worried. You might sneak into the playoffs still, maybe, but nothing is guaranteed at this juncture for you there. And a big part of that is because of the Jags handling business today.
Yeah, at this point, I'm done with that whole pipe dream of 3 AFC South teams making it to the postseason. Forget all that. I don't believe that now. I mean, I'm sorry. The NFL changes in a play. It changes in a game. And today's game changed those prospects, changed that outlook in my head. Unfortunately, or fortunately, again, for the Jaguars, that just means you'll have to deal with the Houston Texans, maybe. But again, it's a week by week league. You worry about that later. The Jaguars have the Jets, and the Jaguars are 9. And just saying the words. Just say it with me. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 9-4. 4 games last year. They are 9-4 in sole position in the AFC South right now, and 3rd in the AFC. This is crazy. The fact that they have a legitimate shot right now of having the number 1 seed, depending on what happens with the other 2 teams. Like, Liam Coen, take a bow, brother, because he's doing that thing today.
No, absolutely. And I'm going to go through some comments here that go to that end. I mean, we got a lot of Duvals. We got a lot of trash talk.
Get y'all face off, Duval.
Yeah, we ain't mad at you, Duval divers. We're doing the thing here. But speaking of diving, Travis is there in Jacksonville in the rain. Radius, noticing how you're handling business, looking drier than I expected, Travis. Says Radius is there over on scene there at EverBank Stadium as the Jags made EverBank great again, right? And listen, another point out here from Robert Kemp in the comments, Tim Patrick, Jacoby Myers individually have more touchdowns than Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, and Zay Jones combined this season. What a fascinating take. Perhaps we should share that with our good friend and former hated Titan, Ben Troop. But with that, I'll take it.
No, I have that ongoing list that I put out every 3 weeks or 4 weeks on the socials, on Twitter and Blue Sky and whatever else. Like
Travis
about all the guys that the Jaguars organization moved on from this offseason. Like either most of them either retired, or they're playing a death piece, or they're injured and out for the season, or they just haven't done much this year. Like, you can say whatever you want to say about the transactions James Gladstone has made this season, but what you probably can't say is that they missed on a guy who's playing well elsewhere. Even Tyson Campbell just had a week of all weeks in not a good way last week for the Cleveland Browns, where he was basically passed around across that, in that game. So it's they haven't missed. They may not hit on the other guys they bring in. If you're looking at maybe a Greg Newsome situation, shout out to him. First INT as a Jaguar, but they definitely aren't missing with the guys that they moved on from the previous organization. So at the end of the day, you got what you want in the leadership. You got what you want in the head coach. You got what you want on the field. Hey man, you're rolling all what is it? Rolling all snake eyes or something? No, the opposite of snake eyes.
Playing with house money is what I think you're
playing
going
with house
for.
Money. There you go. You are doing well right now in Duval County.
And this is what I like to see from your former Duval devout, our friend of the show, Mike Clinton, in the comments. AFC South will have 1 representative. Colts will lose out. And I know he doesn't say their name blatantly, but if he says 1 representative, he's saying that the Texans get eliminated tonight too. He's coming out here hide on the rest of the AFC South. I just had to point that out.
That will work well for the Jaguars overall. But I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys, and I don't know if anybody else has their opinion, so I leave open the room for anyone else to have a differing opinion. This is just mine. I'm more worried about the mutant they call Pat Mahomes than I am worried about the Houston Texans defense. Personally, that's just me.
History would dictate. I don't blame you. I think they're both scary in their own right. But hey, listen, if things go as right as they can, they probably won't be the Jags' problem theoretically, right? Because they'd be lower in there. We'll see what happens.
I got you. I'm just saying, Pat Mahomes is Baba Yaga. And that Houston defense, you were just up against them by 19 points not too many weeks ago when you just gave it away in the 4th quarter. I think I feel more comfortable with the guy I think I can beat than the guy who just get in the playoffs, and it's different, bro.
And Social Alki brings in the scarier potential mutant in the Bills, and I think that's the accurate statement. But we'll talk about that more in the coming weeks. I wanted to see to it, Travis, that listen, we're gonna have plenty to say about the offense. We don't keep you too long here. I know you're battling weather and elements, but as much as you ask me to make sure the defense gets their love, I would be foolhardy not to include this action right here as well. The still right there of the knee with Leonard there, Riley Leonard, who, listen, I mean, for being thrown into the position he was, I don't feel like he had a horrible day, but certainly not a very good one. And I think a lot of it was thanks to this defense. Josh Allen, most importantly, the guy there on the ground, taking him down for that safety, getting home, pressures man, being safe in that particular instance and handling business. Yet another Jaguar that did something that fans wanted to see. Devin Lloyd getting that interception. Brother. You mentioned the interception. And
Hines Allen getting the only sack of either quarterback on the day. And it just become your defense scored points. Your defense had 3 turnovers. They actively scored 2 points. They got you turnovers on downs. Like this is crazy. The Jaguars had 14 points off turnovers early on, both by Travis Etienne. Shout out to him in the run game and for what those guys did, being the better running back on the field today. Yeah, I said it. That's crazy when you're playing against the top rusher in the football in the NFL, Jonathan Taylor, on this glorious Sunday. So, hey, the Jaguars defense showed out. Like, again, you scored points. You put your offense in position to score 2 touchdowns. And on this rainy day, you got, I mean, if I'm keeping it a buck, you get me out of here early. Like, I'm very happy right now. Like, great job, Josh Hines Allen. Y'all did y'all thing, man.
Moreover, we talk about the running of the football and the defense. Listen, part of the sweeping of the proverbial leg is to limit Jonathan Taylor right there in the keys to the game we had.
Yeah, man.
We mentioned the JHA hate game, of course, right? Keeping that making it a decade, so to speak, worth of defeat in EverBank.
They held Jonathan Taylor to less than 75 yards rushing, bro.
I wanted you to say it. I wanted you to
say it. On 21 carries.
Oh,
like, you get 20 carries.
His longest is for 14. So that means there's 20 carries for just 3 yards by the NFL MVP.
And he fumbled, and they scored a touchdown on the following play after that fumble. So in reality, Jonathan Taylor probably had a negative EPA overall as effect of the game today. Not only that, they lost their quarterback. Like, if you're a Jaguar and you are truly just like leaning into the hate of those other AFC South teams, just like licking up tears, like, this is that game for you to just like put on the TV screen. That's it, bro.
Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Devon Hamilton had a great game. Shout out to Dickerson. Also got moved up from the practice squad and also had a pretty solid game himself. Like, I know it may not show up on the stat sheet, but when you're not getting moved out, you're not getting displaced as far as the holes are concerned on the interior of that Colts offensive line, I consider that a good day, even though you may not get the recognition you actively deserve.
Yeah, and as another mention, too, going into this game, there were questions about Arik Armstead. We had mentioned that on both Wednesday and Friday editions of the Duval Dive, and to see them still come out there in that middle and take care of business for Arik Armstead, clearly, in my opinion, the biggest point of the game, as it was my X factor previously, right?
Interesting. Well, the interesting part about it, I thought the Jaguars had a probability, good chance, of limiting Arik Armstead, just in how they were going to play him. Whenever you have the guy in that cast for that first week, they're just only going to play him on passing down. They did the same thing with Javon Walker when his first week back.
Yep.
Today was the same way. They didn't have Arik Armstead in the vast majority of those run-stopping downs, which means when you're looking at Jonathan Taylor's numbers, you're not saying that's an Arik Armstead thing. No, you're saying, no. Dickerson did his thing. Mason Smith did his thing. And again, I've given Mason Smith like crap in the past. So I want to be very clear when I say
have been critical.
Yeah, he's done his thing. He did well today. So I want to give him credit when he does well. Just like I'll give you crap when you're not doing well. Like, I'm just keeping it a buck. Whatever it is what it is. They did well today on the ground in a game when you knew the other team was going to try to punch you in the face and you said, hell nah, and push back. And I think that's you get respect for that, though.
You absolutely do and should. And listen, man, as much as we've talked about the defense and seeing those things we want to see, right, that we've asked for, getting those turnovers, having that attack up front, the pressure from Josh Hines Allen, the 4th and 1 stop, by the way, by Trayvon Walker, and of course the stoppage of the run game. I think it's time to switch over to the offensive side.
Yes,
Travis, I'm going to ask you point blank, 100%. Like, is there? I'm trying to ask this question correctly so I don't get an exaggeration alert, right? But, I'm just going to ask for it outright. I know the stats may not have been, what's his word, as quite as maybe game management. No, not even gaudy. Game management horrific. That's the word I'm going with. If crackheady is the word, game manager horrific is what I'm going with.
We talking about Trevor Lawrence. So that's what I'm hearing right now.
Best game, period.
Because brother, he had 244 passing yards in a game where if you were here in the stadium, you know what this looked like. Like, after the middle of the first quarter, it was boring. And I'm not going to say it was boring the whole game, but when the game mattered and when he was doing majority of that passing, it was raining like crazy. And he was putting it out there. If you saw the Tim Patrick pass down that sideline, when Tim Patrick's out there catching it with no old school, with no gloves on, catching it in his chest, hitting him a dot down the sideline. Like, it was a great throw. You see the one-handed Brian Thomas Jr. catch. And oh, yeah, I mean, that's actually it right there. That's the Tim Patrick catch. I'm like, he's putting a dot down the sideline. And I'm like, no, Trevor's out there doing this thing despite this a wet ground, it's a wet ball. He's throwing the guys with no gloves on, and he's on point. Like, if you're ever going to say Trevor Lawrence ain't it because he has those other games, you have to look at this game and be like, I don't know, bro. Since that bye week, it looks like he's turning the corner. Just like when we said Baker Mayfield turned that corner right around the Tampa Bay Buccaneers bye week. I'm not going to say, hey, Trevor Lawrence is this MVP candidate or all these things. I am just objectively looking at the film and saying this dude is absolutely consistently trending like he's turning the corner in this Liam Coen offense. And in today's environment was one of the hardest ones you could probably think of an NFL quarterback facing. Again, a wet ball. You're down Parker Washington. You don't know if you're going to get the best BTJ. And then all of a sudden BTJ shows up when they just all vertical shots to this guy. Bruh, Trevor Lawrence looked good. BTJ looked good.
And we talk about BTJ, and we've even heard just traces of people still criticizing him and his catching and all this. I said he's broken out of it, but I got to tell you, seeing him pull that one-hander in, if you remember the Duval Duval, you have to be feeling full relief and confidence in a way you hadn't yet.
Storm the Desert just hit it on the head. It's basically saying that this is the second game in a row where Trevor didn't have a should-have-been intercepted throw. A turnover-worthy throw, something along those lines. And I agree. This was one of those games. Like, even when he did have those misses early on where his feet weren't settled, I was having this argument with the guy in the press box during the game. I'm like, he's got to settle his feet. He's got to calm down. Normally, that takes him the whole first quarter or the whole first half before he just settles down, maybe in the 2-minute drive before the half. This week, it took him basically a drive, maybe a drive and a half, and then he just kind of figured it out, settled down, stopped going high on the throws, and he was good. And I think, again, shout out to Coach Liam Coen, shout out to Trevor himself for, like, however it's happened after the bye, it is absolutely happening, and I think that deserves credit and that deserves to be noted.
And you mentioned shout outs to the coaching staff. Absolutely 100% a given. Robert Kemp in the comments makes another point that I absolutely love. Shout out to the coaching staff, but even with this team, they are willing to acknowledge they missed with Jimmy G's constant floor raising, right? So, and by Jimmy G, of course,
Johnson, De'Ami Brown, Emmanuel Agba, Colin Saunders, and they just quickly move on after those transactions.
Right, Jimmy Stone's in that group moving off of mistakes quickly is huge, man. You
talking about those guys? Those are the small fish. He moved off of Tyson Campbell really quick. That's again before the bye week. Yep. They moved off a lot of guys that with bigger names and bigger price tags way early, just because they were like, dude, I've said that about the Seattle Seahawks. I said it when we had football talk with Bo from the Seattle Seahawks on. I used to respect that old Legion of Boom front office so much because they will move off of a draft pick, they move off of a free agent really dang quickly as soon as they realize it don't fit the culture that they're looking for.
Great take.
The Jaguars aren't necessarily where they want to be, but you can easily see they know what they're looking for, and if you don't fit that box, you ain't in it. Like, and I think that's okay. That's a great philosophy to have. And I'm ready to see if they're willing to move off of the guys they brought in and they drafted. If it doesn't work out. Now, I'm not saying I want them not to work out, but obviously they're not going to bat 100%. That's my point.
And no GM or front office does. And that's the point that you deliver very divinely there, is that in knowing that that's a fact, being able to move off of those mistakes minimizes that impact. That's a great point. Speaking of impact too, by the way, you mentioned the inclement weather there in Duval, and yet the fans are in force, man.
Oh, shout out.
You told people to get your ass to the game. Mischief managed, bro, right? Like
they were out here in the rain in the pool, brother. It don't get much better than that. It don't get much more Duval than that. Like, again, I know folks made fun of the pools originally, but they have embraced it now. They out here in the rain. It wasn't lightning. Lightning. I don't know what the meaning of lightning.
They kept it.
There was no lightning, but nevertheless, they're out here just wild in these streets, and I appreciate it, Duval. Y'all showed up. Y'all don't have very many of these, like, where you're in the pole position, an opportunity to take hold of the AFC South late in the season at EverBank Stadium And you got that opportunity today in the dang rain, what the forecast is telling you was 100% chance of rain, and y'all filled the hell out of this stadium, and y'all showed up and cheered your team on to a victory. Shout out to all y'all, man.
And Robert Kemp in the comments. Listen, we give love to Big Cat Country constantly on here. Robert Kemp mentions Gus Logue sending out a tweet since the Liam Coen press conference where he publicly told Trevor to let him. Trevor has basically been a top three QB in stats and metrics.
Yeah, he really has been. Ever since that let it rip thing, and Trevor's actively been letting it rip and finding that sweet spot between being chaotic with the turnovers.
It's that line between being a hero or forcing being a hero and being a game manager is a tough one to, shall we say, tiptoe on, right?
Yeah, but they also, and I want to give some credit to this, because we talked about this for literal weeks, saying that this would happen eventually when Brian Thomas Jr. gets back. They were going to start having the ability to have those explosive plays down the field, and they were just going to start peppering him on those go routes, because PT phone home, Preston in the comments is already, we've been having that argument for literal weeks in the Duval Dive YouTube on the comments, like back and forth, like it's a Twitter page, about the fact that this was going to happen eventually when Brian Thomas Jr. got back to full go. They were going to go deep. I didn't think it was going to happen today, because I thought the weather was going to be inclement enough where it was just wasn't going to be reasonable to do it. And I was wrong. Brian Thomas gets like 90 yards receiving on 3 catches. And I'm like, oh, dang, that dude is really dang good at contested catches down the field. That's going to open up this offense so much. And I can't even imagine what it's going to look like with Travis Hunter also back. It's going to be good times in Duval if they can get all this right all at the same time.
I would also say, too, that BTJ's resurgence helps something else. Mega's back, baby. Make Etienne great again. Make EverBank great again, or keep EverBank great for a decade in the point of view of that Colts matchup, right? But I mean, you have a clip in here of Travis Etienne just cutting through there. Excellent blocking on that right guard plays for the long touchdown run there. I think it was like 20 yards. I mean, this is the balanced offense we were looking to see, hoping to see. And not to say that Bayshall Tutin's a not factor, because that is not accurate, but we've been looking also for that run game and that balance in an offense. You got it here today. Now, granted, again, I will acknowledge Sauce Gardner out, DeForest Buckner. Indy's defense is not 100%, but I've said it here on this show, going back to that 49er game, Travis, if in situations like this where that's the case, you have to take advantage, and that's why now the Jacksonville Jaguars are at the top of the AFC South, because they did precisely that.
They've taken advantage on both sides of the ball. And again, as much as folks to say like, hey, everything's not going to work out, because I think we all have, again, that Duval County PTSD of expecting something to go wrong. That's just built within the fan base. I'm just calling it how I see it. And we all expected, like, all right, the defense is going to be bad, or the offense is going to be bad, or something's just not going to work out at the same time. I fully understand that thought process coming into it, but that's just not what we're seeing right now. Like, the defense has some opportunities, absolutely, and when they play those better teams, it's going to be a conversation, of course, but they have been dang near dominant against the Chargers. They were dang near dominant against the Chiefs, at least for much of that game. They were dang near dominant for 3/4 of the last Houston Texans game. And since this bye week, they are 5-1, being reasonably good on defense and being ridiculously solid on offense, like averaging around 30 points a game. With the quarterback playing at a high level, again, they are doing so well. It's kind of hard you're nitpicking if you're looking for the negatives. Like, they exist, but
the only negative
is the only question.
Yeah, the only negative I see is the fourth quarter of that Texans game, period. Because if that doesn't exist, this team's already a playoff team. I said what I said.
Yeah, and they can still win in the game and lose in the game. Let's be very clear about this.
Correct.
They can still Jaguar it up with 10 penalties or 13 penalties in the game, and 16, drop balls and penalties and pre-snap penalties and all this other nonsense, and lose against a very bad Raiders or Arizona Cardinals or something like that. So I'm not crazy enough to say it's not possible. Consistency is what matters. They have to do this week in and week out. But if you see this product, you're seeing this product more often than you're seeing the bad product. And that leads to, hey, the coaches are on this. The players are receptive to the arguments and the conversations that the coaches are saying. now you just seeing what this might be, what this team is. Maybe this team is truly that front runner, and we just are holding out hope, making sure we want to be safe. We don't want to have our heart broke again, so we don't want to jump in there yet. But at this point, it might be time, bro, because they look good today. They look dang good.
Other people seem to agree with you. PJ Brown in the comments. See y'all in January. He's making the declaration now. I mean, listen.
PJ's always early to the party, though. I give him credit on that.
Listen, I'll say this. Considering the fact that the Jacksonville Jaguars are officially at 9 wins with the New York Jets on the schedule, I wouldn't be mad at Duval for celebrating. To your point, there's still plenty of time to Duval. Understood.
Yeah.
But I think optimism is acceptable if you're so inclined. I mean, if there's, by the way, PT phone, Preston makes a great point. The Colts hit the injury bug like the Jags did earlier in the year, except the Colts now have it at a much worse time here.
The Colts have it in the worst part of their schedule. The Jaguars had it in the worst part of their schedule. The Colts had the easiest part of their schedule, and they happened to be healthy, and they thought that they were dominant, and so they started making weird trades, like trading 2 first-round picks for a cornerback, and then they lost that cornerback. And now, honestly, it just comes down to whether or not you have a good coach. If you have a good enough coach, you're gonna find ways to win those games. If you don't, you won't. I don't know what to tell you. That's really how I feel about it, and that's not me trying to be petty or anything like that. I truly feel the Jaguars won multiple games in the toughest part of their schedule. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They beat the brakes off the Chargers at a time that I did not expect it to happen. So
we did not expect it to happen.
So if the Colts are the team that are coached by a coach who signs on to trading 2 first-round draft picks for a cornerback, that's a Super Bowl move. That's saying I am Super Bowl caliber team that I believe can do this. Cool. Then good luck. Do it. Otherwise, you're not the right coach for this. The Jaguars did it.
I mean, that's a fascinating point you make, sir. Hey, listen, it's time to give the O-line their credit. Robert Kemp makes the point in the comments at the beginning of the year. We wanted this O-line to be average at worst.
Yeah, facts.
That is a quote from me, if I dare say. This is maybe the 3rd or 4th game, no sacks allowed and no hits on Trevor Lawrence. I didn't know that, actually. Wow, that's worthwhile. And Alki says he's going to go skinny to him.
That's interesting because I don't even think that it's that Trevor's holding on, that Trevor's throwing the ball quickly and getting it out. This is not like a Doug Peterson scheme type situation where you're just oh no, he's not getting hit because he's just getting the ball. He's getting the ball out of his hands quickly and not holding on to it. He had multiple scrambles today where Trevor actually had really good pocket presence. Because I've always been the person to say, what do I say? Sacks are quarterback stat. I say it all the time. I've said it for 2 years at this point. Sacks are a quarterback stat. So if you're not getting sacks, it's because the quarterback has great pressure and he knows when to throw the ball away. And if you are getting sacks, it's because you don't. Unless you're getting immediately beat by offensive line, you're just that horrible. I'm not crazy. I can acknowledge there's sometimes that. But and Trevor Lawrence, his pocket awareness has improved so much over the past 4 weeks. Not the past season, the past 4 weeks specifically.
Yes.
His awareness of what's happening around him is just all right, no, you see the growth and the maturation in his game there.
Most importantly, by not forcing running the football. That's the big one, right? Hey, I could turn it into something with my legs. Nope, he's not forcing that anymore. And I think that's that big improvement over the past 4 weeks. I think that's a great take by you.
And earlier you were talking about Travis Etienne, and I just realized Travis Etienne basically had the same game that Jonathan Taylor had, but he did it without a fumble, and he added a touchdown. I didn't know it was that. He has 2 touchdowns to 1, and he has no turnovers. Basically, Travis Etienne was Jonathan Taylor today.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. And PT, I'll get into Radius and PT turning the wrench on opponents. First of all, he mentions head coach Aaron Glenn of the Jets. Big ships turn slow, mentioning that he's a jet, not a ship. Well, I'll put it this way: I think the Jets were actually worse off than the Jags were at the start of the season. That's a separate question, but also a very funny point. And then Preston in the comments about the Colts trading all those picks and stuff. Now they got to try to find a QB. Good luck with that, Colts. I mean, Jag Nation will definitely be laughing about that.
You should hate. Go ahead, get your hate off, Duval. Get your hate off. You deserve it, winners. Hey, the history books are written by the winners, and right now that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. So hate. Because again, you won't, it seems like every year a new team is at the top of this AFC South. A new team is trying to take the throne. So enjoy your time at the top of the throne for however long, whether it's this year, whether it's the next 5 years, whatever. You're here, enjoy it, man.
Fair enough. Travis.
Happy Victory Monday.
Happy Victory Monday. That's not even premature. Man, listen, this has been a great time with you and the Duval Divers. Let me get you the hell out that weather so you go ahead and back home. Tell the people where you can be found, my guy.
I mean, I can be found here on the Duval Dive. If you're listening to the sound of my voice on the YouTube, please click the like button. Hey, man, if you're listening to us on the audio side, please rate and review us with all 5s. Treat this thing like a customer service survey. All 5s are what doesn't exist. If you got negative reviews, take that to another podcast. Don't put it on this page. But yeah, bigcatcountry.com. Go and take a look at the write-up. I think it was a dope game. I think it was a dope write-up because I wrote it. And it's talking about a lot of the stuff we're talking about right now, but also gives you the deep dive on all the stats, on my few takeaways at the end of a few notables as far as the team is concerned. And also it gives you the clips of all the highlights that happened throughout the game. And yeah, so click like, comment, and please let them know where you can be found, sir.
Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game, and check out my writings other places, including the Black and Gold Banneret.com, and of course, my coverage of the Orlando Magic, as well as, I know what you're laughing at. I'm not showing that comment. If you want to see it, you'll have to go to the Duval Time YouTube channel. No, but and then, of course, check out my work covering the Magic and the Night Shift podcast, where I give a wrap-up of the night season such that it is. And a whole lot of craziness in college football, by the way, with teams denying bids and stuff. I don't even – we'll get to that. I'll get to that other places, I'm sure, here. But, Travis, an honor, joy, and privilege for you doing this thing from the stadium. You Duval Dimers. Man, listen, we talk about everything from Trevor Lawrence to skinny dipping to leg sweeping and Karate Kid on this how much more fun can you have, ladies and gentlemen? So, until next time, everybody, Kyle Nash Game saying, class dismissed.